Hello everyone and welcome to another Randomised Gaming video. My name is Random Gamer Ribbon, the editor of Randomised Gaming, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the new Turrican Anthology collections, Volume 1 and 2 in a dual video. So I'm just showing you some of the options available here in the Turrican Anthology video. Just before I go any further, I'm just going to say we were provided the codes via a company called PR Hound who work directly with ININ Games, just so you're aware. So we didn't actually pay for any of the codes for either games. We were provided them in order to do this video and do some coverage on our blog as well. But as you can see here, this is the brand new Turrican Anthologies collections. Previously they were released via Strictly Limited Games. They're now available digitally, and both are available on the store as of the other week, and they're priced at $29.99. This whole new Anthology collection adds in a wealth of new features. So you've got this new real-time map that enables a map overlay. You can adjust the HUD display. There's also an couple of additional maps. So you've got one that shows you like secret locations, and there's also an in-game map as well that shows you crystals and everything as well. So there's a couple of new features. There's a remastered soundtrack. There's also an original studio version as well. So some really nice new soundtracks. You've actually got most games with 3 versions. So that's the original emulated version. You have like a studio remaster, and then you have a full-on sort of all the original remasters. So there's basically 3 versions. So it's really nice. You get a mix of music and 3 versions of Chris Huelsbeck Turrican soundtrack. It's absolutely brilliant. Got the Turrican manuals here. There's quite a few manuals, although I should note they have taken out logos of sort of Nintendo and Sega, unfortunately, so a couple of the pages from some of the manuals are missing. Well, just without further ado, let's jump into Turrican 1 just to show you some of the cool features. I won't talk over all this video. I will let most of the music play out and everything, but I'll just show you some of the various video options quickly, and then I'll just briefly speak a little about each game as we go along.
Welcome to Turrican!
So here we go in Turrican 1 with all these new options. So this is the real-time map overlay I've got on the minute, and you've also got the additional screen overlay. So basically it shows there's 2. One that shows you the location of hidden secrets. There's also an in-game map as well that allows you to peruse the whole map, and there's also the outer map that shows you the rest of the world environment as you're playing, but it doesn't show enemies. So weirdly, the screen environment where the enemies normally spawn would appear, but it shows you the remaining map environment. So that's quite good if you want to see where your head is, especially because these levels are quite labyrinth on the Turrican collections. So you can see where you're going this time around, which is quite nice, but the downside is that you don't get to see the enemy position. So as you can see here, I'm just expanding it to full on. That way you can see that the original game environment, you can only see the enemies within that original screen area, but you can now see roughly the outer design of the map, which is really helpful. I should say the map is initially all darkened. I've already played this a little bit earlier, just explored a bit, just to give you an idea. Basically, you can explore it. You can adjust the HUD as well if you want to turn it on and off, which is quite handy. And it really is a really nice collection. Being able to play the games like this gives it a whole new lease of life, and I've been really enjoying the features shown in this collection, so it's well worth it if you enjoy all these new mapping features. Certainly for first time players of the Turrican series, it does make the games an awful lot easier. And they are really nice features, and they're included with all the games. Okay, that's enough of Turrican 1. We'll have a quick look at Turrican 2 now. Of course, the legendary sequel to the original Turrican. And of course, it spawned just such a beautiful series. The second game, I think, was probably the best one on the Amiga. But it is such a beautifully crafted franchise, and Chris Huelsbeck music is absolutely fantastic. So the fact that most of the games have 3 versions is absolutely brilliant. I should say in the Turrican Volume 2, which is Turrican and the Amiga's version of Mega Turrican and the Amiga's version of Turrican 3, you can actually swap out some of the soundtracks between them, which was an interesting feature. So there's lots of cool options again, just going through. Lots of video options as well, so you can have different types of video sharpness and lots of screen sizes. You can go really small and you can go really big. I generally like a mixture depending on the stage. Boss fights I prefer it zoomed in, but it's really interesting having all these options to play around with, so you can do lots of screen adjustments, which is something you didn't get in the previous Turrican collection. And the navigational map, which if you press L3 or R3, you click one of them and it brings it up. Again, you see the environment. So you can see I've got the expanded map, so outside those areas it won't spawn enemies, and you can see on the map which ones aren't expanded. But yeah, this is the zoom map as well. You can just zoom around and see the additional. So there's really lots of new features in this that really do enhance the game. I actually wish more collections would include features like this. So hopefully we'll see more retro collections with like these map features. They really do change how you play the games as well. I'll just do some gameplay of Turrican 2 now. Power up. Laser. The ground. Laser. Laser. Okay, next up, let's take a look at Super Turrican. This is the Director's Cut. There aren't a huge amount, so there's actually two Director's Cut versions on these collections. There's a Director's Cut of Super Turrican and a Director's Cut of Mega Turrican. They don't add a huge amount either Director's Cut. Super Turrican adds in an additional stage or two, although annoyingly there's a lot of unused art and graphics that I've actually seen the art for. This is a very incomplete Director's Cut, I will admit. There was a lot of unused elements from Super Turrican that didn't make it even into this Director's Cut, so I don't know if this was actually the final build of the Director's Cut or what. But again, as you see there, the huge map screen environment's really nice. And again, as I said, the darkness is normally the whole map initially to explore it, but I previously played it. But the overlay as well gives you hints about like hidden things and stuff, so that's quite cool, showing you blocks. Passages of how the wind moves, like secret things as well. So there's hidden walls that you can go through, they'll be shown in the additional overlay. And there's a map overlay, and you can turn them on and off if you want. It's entirely up to you. You can have this original screen ratios, or you can have the wallpaper and background. There's lots and lots of video options. Super Turrican's quite a good game. The Director's Cut of Super Turrican, I think, had the most additional content. It had some additional, well, like an extension on one stage, an additional stage. It didn't have that much. I know there's a lot of unused content from Super Turrican 1 that didn't make it into even the Director's Cut, and I've actually got the sprite sheet on our blog if you take a look, and there's a couple of, one of the bosses got moved into Super Turrican 2 and a few other bits, so that was quite interesting. Super Turrican 1 is quite like the original Turrican game. Super Turrican 2 is more like a classic running gun. I really like Super Turrican 2 though. I won't say anything more on Turrican 1, and we can chat when we get to the next game. Power up. Okay, here we go with the Score Attack title. This is a bit of an interesting one. It's basically a one-level version of Mega Turrican with an exclusively new level that's quite tricky that basically you have to get as much score on. I'd describe it as a novel bonus game, so I would argue this collection at its core probably, so this first volume of the Turrican Anthology, probably, I mean, between them there's 10 games and they are brilliantly done, but I think they probably should have merged them into one set and charged about 40 quid. Again, Super Turrican on the NES is missing as well, and the NES version of Super Turrican is a totally different game to the SNES version. In fact, the NES version is a more complete game as there's a proper final boss and stuff to it, so... Super Turrican, apparently they never finished the final world, whereas the NES version, although it's a very different game, it's sort of a mixture of Turrican 1 and 2 with a whole new set of stages, the NES version. I really am a bit sad the NES version wasn't included. It was like one of the last games, I think one of the last Turrican games Manfred Trenz actually properly did, but it's a brilliant conversion. We do actually have the NES version, so we may appear on our channel at some point here, but yeah, it's really nice. As you can see here, this is a totally new stage, Mega Turrican, the Score Attack, but that's it. It's just one stage. Your aim is to get all the gems and stuff, and at the end you get a rank, so not much more than that to say on the subject. Okay, and now a look at Turrican Anthology Volume 2. Again, you get a whole raft of different games. This gives you Turrican III on the Amiga, Mega Turrican, and Super Turrican II. So for me, Super Turrican II really is an absolute brilliant game. The Amiga, including both Turrican III and the Mega Drive version of Turrican on the same collection, is a bit hit and miss. Turrican III on the Amiga was basically an early version of Mega Turrican. Mega Turrican was retroactively ported back to the Amiga. However, because it took them so long to get everything sorted for the release of Mega Turrican, the Amiga version came out first. And if you look at the Amiga version, it does feel like an earlier version of Mega Turrican. It's missing a few elements. It does have a few changes as well. But it's largely basically a turned down version of Mega Turrican. There are a few things like the gold armor and stuff, and I think there was a trophy for that as well, which is like a cool little secret hidden in the game. And this version is very similar to how the director's cut of Mega Turrican works. So basically there is the director's cut of Mega Turrican, and that includes the Mario and Sonic's in Carbonite sort of thing at 1C. There was a hidden stage in Mega Turrican. So what it is that this first act actually has an additional section. In the Amiga's version, that additional section you had to do. In Mega Turrican, that hidden additional section was a hidden thing you could only unlock if you got a certain score. And in the director's cut, it's basically taken out of as a hidden section and made a you have to play through it naturally. It was always a bit odd they had that bit as a hidden section. Actually, it was a bit weird. They basically cut down the first stage. It feels to me like someone said the first stage is too long, can we cut it down? And admittedly, the section they cut out, the additional section that they made a bonus stage, is not particularly very good. And you feel like when you get the elevator, it really probably should have ended. I think the initial stage probably was a touch too long, but basically it was 2 stages originally. In the Amiga's version, it's 2 stages, and then you get the end final before you get the main boss bit. In the Mega Drive version, they cut one out as a hidden bit, so you had to access via a hidden thing. And in the director's cut, it's put together. You will notice the background, the scale-rolling backgrounds in this version are slightly different as well to the Mega Drive version. Okay, and just to do a quick comparison, this is Mega Turrican, although as you'll notice it is exactly the same game as Turrican III, only with a few visual tweaks and changes. It's probably the better version. I would say this is the better version than the Amiga's version. One thing I should add, they have done some really nice revised control schemes in this, so that's very nice. Although I did have one slight bug with one of them that hopefully will get patched, where I was getting the controls in a couple of the games randomly changed, so I'm not sure what was going on there. Super Turrican II, I was getting a weird locking bug, so... But as you see here, this version's some much nicer backgrounds. So basically, this is director's cut. There are a few minor tweaks, but not much else. So effectively, you get 3 versions of the same game in this collection. And I think most people would probably be a bit put off by that, but I think largely the main meat of this collection is the excellent Super Turrican II. Okay, here we go now with Super Turrican II, which for me is one of the very best games in the collection. It's absolutely brilliant. I know some people are going to be like, oh, I'm not a fan of Super Turrican II. For me, I think it modernised the format beautifully, and it's very, very good. The haphazardous deaths I felt at some of the earlier games have been taken out. There's a bit more run and gun, although some of the later stages, I suspect a lot of people don't realise, are very much like the original game. There are some really good explorative stages in Super Turrican II, but I suspect a lot of people don't get that far because there's one underwater where you've got to find multiple bases. The second stage on... So you get the initial bike stage, or basically the car buggy stage. The stage after that has some very cool sort of climbing around and using the grapple hook, which is really nice. Again, you get some nice CG rendered cutscenes, which is quite nice. Certainly, so you can tell this was a late Super Nintendo game, that was for sure. And it certainly makes really good advantage of the hardware. It really shows what the Super Nintendo could do in the right capable hands. And I'm really glad this has finally got included in the collection, as it wasn't included in the previous collections that we saw. And it's actually pretty expensive. Okay, so that's a quick showcase of Super Turrican 2. Finally, this is Super Turrican 1 Score Attack. So you get the Score Attack Super Turrican on this one, not the first collection. I kind of think it's a bit weird. I thought you'd kind of got the Score Attack on the other collection thing, but I'm guessing they might have done it just so you didn't have because else you'd have had a complete overdose of Mega Turrican on this collection. So you get a bit of Super Turrican 1 with the Score Attack. Again, like the Mega Turrican, this is one stage, and you basically one long tricky stage. I did actually beat this one. I haven't beaten the Mega Turrican one, but I did beat this one. So just to show you, basically the aim is to get as much score as possible and finish the stage, and then you get a rank at the end depending how well you do. As I mentioned, both collections are priced at $29.99 and they are available now, although I feel some people may think they're probably a little bit on the pricey side. They are really good in terms of what they offer in terms of the new features, but yeah, I feel personally perhaps it should have been one collection merged into one, and the NES version of Super Turrican really should have been included. Hell, even the PC version of Turrican II should have been included, just that had redone graphics as well, so that's a bit of a shame. But aside from that, those versions are missing, and I suspect they may be due to rights issues, because also you could have included the PC version of Turrican 2 probably on this one, and perhaps the NES version of Super Turrican on the first collection. I think that would have probably just tied them up quite nicely. Again, lack of the Commodore 64 versions as well is a bit of a shame, seeing as there are some additional features and changes between the Commodore versions and the Amiga versions. Factor 5 did make a few mistakes. Both Turrican 1 and 2 on the Amiga have bugs and issues that weren't present in the Commodore 64 versions. Manfred, I did seem to finish his work a little bit better, I have to admit, than the Factor 5 team. Turrican 1, the roll resets, and in Turrican 2, there's a jetpack stage at the end, which they didn't do properly in the Amiga's version. Instead, had an absolutely horrible upwards jumping section. It also makes the final boss very tricky. When the final boss, you're supposed to be flying around in a jetpack against him, which is a bit of a shame. Do enjoy Turrican. I highly recommend thinking about grabbing these. I think it just depends whether you want to pay the initial asking price or whether you want to wait a bit for a possible discount sale. But these are meaty packages. Thanks again to ININ Games and PR Hound to supplying us with a code for me to take a look at this. They are, as I said, I really enjoyed taking a look at these. I will be actually trying to go for all the trophies because this collection really is just the way they've done the sort of the mapping, as you can see, is just really, really good. I really like that. The fact it makes even novice players who are a bit unsure of where to go, you can suddenly rapidly get a lot of feel with the Turrican games thanks to all the new mapping, which I really enjoy, all the new content. The new soundtracks are absolutely fantastic as well. Chris Huelsbeck's music has always been a shining highlight of this series, and to have multiple versions of the soundtracks now is absolutely just phenomenal. This is really a Turrican fan's dream from that perspective. That's it for me, Random Gamer Ribbon. I'll just let the outro play out in a little bit, but see you all very soon. So I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for watching this randomised gaming video. My name is Random Gamer Ribbon, the editor of Randomised Gaming, and I'd kindly ask, if you enjoyed this video, please do consider hitting the like button, and if you enjoy our channel content, please do consider subscribing to the channel. We have a whole host of high quality gameplay videos, long plays and playthrough videos. We also have consumer issues and some comparison issues covering various different versions of games, and topics like 50 and 60 Hz differences between PAL and NTSC versions of games. So if you want to see a channel with that type of gaming content, please do spend some time looking at our videos and playlists here at Randomised Gaming. And feel free to get involved in the discussion as well by leaving a comment, and myself or one of the team will try and get back to you as soon as possible. You can also check out our blog with lots of written features, images and reviews on it. And you can also find me live streaming on Twitch. All our legacy YouTube streams are available in a playlist, but going forward I will only be streaming on Twitch at present Some videos will have affiliate links in the video description, and you can support us by buying us a tea or coffee via the website Ko-fi. Links to all our websites and channels are included in the YouTube video description. Thank you again for watching, viewer, and as always, I wish you all a good night, a good evening, a good morning, or a good afternoon wherever you are in the world.